So this is Sean Fraser from IWI. I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time out of their busy day to join this webinar. Today we've invited Alltech to show you DocLink. It's a Sage-endorsed document management solution. You'll learn how to gain control of your data, eliminate the paper, and streamline your business processes. Hopefully we can start to give you some ideas on how DocLink can help you improve efficiencies in AP or any department throughout your enterprise. So we have Igor Kras from Alltech who's going to show us what we mean here. And a quick note before I turn the meeting over to Igor, please use the box for any questions. We'll try to answer them throughout the presentation or at the end. So at this time, I'm going to pass the webinar over to Igor.
Thank you, Sean. Welcome everybody for our IP Automation and Beyond webinar. What we're going to touch bases today is the concept of advanced document management for enterprise-level solutions. And we touch bases on how DocLink as a document management platform can transform your approach to managing the life cycles of documents you have internally in the company and connect people, processes, and data that you currently operate with. Without further ado, let's get started. So we all today live in the world of constant access to information, and an enormous amount of data is being shared online today. And briefly, stats that you can see on the screen right now kind of indicate that, how much information is being shared immediately right now on the internet. And in our personal lives, we used to have access to data and to be very sufficient, be very productive with information and processing things that interest us. You can find price for shrimp in Karelia right now. You can just Google that. You can find a Thai restaurant in a city you've never been before. I just returned from Halifax. Yeah, I've been there. I wanted to find Captain Boyle. Here you go. It's immediately in downtown, 2 blocks from my hotel. And examples of these are there are vast examples like this when you would like to find a review in the minutes or do something, be productive in your personal life. Nevertheless, when we get into the office space, for some reason, our expectation about our productivity and the data availability deteriorates. And there are reasons for that. In the office space, our expectation is getting lower for many reasons. And there are reasons like the harder finding something. For example, you may receive documents not in a format that is convenient for you. We still communicate with our business partners and customers via paper or electronic documents, depends on the level of automation that you have. And even if you're using digital copies, you still have to be able to track that communication, store the contents in a manner that is meaningful to you as an employee or as a manager who needs to manage these documents. And this all adds up. And providing the meaningful way of storage of documents and translate the documents' content into the meaningful data can be used through your business process in every single department. And this is kind of the level of digital transformation that Alltech as a company brings to our customers. So the digital transformation is happening, and we all need to be able to be on the front line of that wave. As companies that didn't go through the digital transformation, they kind of vanished. And we have examples like Kodak, for example. A recent example in Canada, Toys R Us, right, and Sears. They just disappeared because they weren't able to digitally transform and adapt to this surge of technology. It is about and manage the information that they have. It's all about taking the friction out of the internal process. And it will result in streamlining your traditional paper and the data entry incentive processes, and paving the way for your companies to achieve the strategic initiatives and, for example, grow without adding additional resources. And and achieve more operational efficiency. In the world of document management, we tend to first think about documents that precede the process, but at the end of the day, it is about connecting the paper or the document, the electronic document, the electronic record, with the people and the process and the data associated with it. Now, as our discussion today will be centered around accounts payable, there are a couple of reasons for that. Very first one is very simple. AP process is labor intense. There's a lot of documents are associated with it. We are generating we are receiving invoices. We are generating POs. We are processing them. There are packing slips and supporting documents for the POs because perhaps you're sending out CAD drawings and certificates of analysis or material test reports or things like that. So that's a labor-intense process. You are going through a lot of paper. And these are the brief stats and metrics about the processing and the costs. By the end of the day, if you do not have any document management automation with optical character recognition or without, doesn't matter, you kind of old way and you do not have any of these tools at your disposal, you will be looking at somewhere between $12 to $15 an invoice to pay it. Think about that from a perspective. You pay up to $15 per invoice to pay it. Imagine that you have 60,000 of them a year. That's your operational cost. And with introduction of document management solutions and with introduction of smart capture and optical character recognition tools, you can reduce that cost per invoice to between $6 to $9 an invoice, or even less, depends on the level of automation that you potentially are going to implement in your business process. Now, of course, there are top kind of reasons for accounts payable automation and by the priority. First of all is, of course, going paperless, and this is on the top of the list because paper is expensive, and processing paper takes a lot of space and a lot of time, and even taking into account that, for example, you can save money on not having that 500 square feet of space occupied by filing cabinets when you move from one property to the other. That's the hard savings right there. And another factor is, of course, another high priority, which is automation of a workflow for approval. And solution there is where the process when it's implemented, it shows that operational efficiency will bring the great advantage to your company from a perspective of gaining control, gaining visibility, and gaining operational efficiency. And these factors will be able to give you ability to maximize profits in your company. Now, successful accounts payable automation has a number of the elements that are being implemented that give you all that package. And in the current AP world, there are 4 elements necessary for that successful AP automation. The first one is visibility, collaboration, control, and automation. So let's review those use cases and those elements on a high level. So we're looking at visibility, and we have a number of items here. First of all, it's of course the employee productivity, process efficiency, invoice processing time, and cash flow optimization. So visibility into liabilities and operational expenses is the basic requirements for the most major functions within the enterprise. It is used to give an overall view of operations and establish standards on which to base the strategies for performing improvements. It's also a key factor giving AP departments a higher degree of influence as a strategic partner in the business. So all of that said, when you have a complete visibility of the processes you're going through, you have a greater control over these processes, and you can find the bottleneck factors, and you can find the factors that contribute to operational inefficiencies. The next element is going to be collaboration, which is related to treasury, procurement, and suppliers. So Collaboration is the cross-functional coordination among key stakeholders within that process, such as accounts payable, procurement, finance, treasury, and supplies. That creates an environment where key information flows with ease between those stakeholders. And in collaboration, when the documents and the data flows easily accessible, easily addressable, gives you strategic advantage from a perspective of speed and gaining that advantage over your competitors. And very often what is important is that 2% difference that is very difficult to gain at that time. Next element is going to be control, which is very important. Good audit control can help your organization to enforce the corporate policies and achieve contract compliance. The audit control will ensure that your AP transactions are processed in a way that complies with the policies, procedures, and existing government regulation. So again, very important component of AP. And lastly, we're going to look at AP automation elements for success. That's going to be our automation. In automation, this is where you can excel using advanced document management solutions with optical character recognition. So technology solutions to manage invoices and workflow and electronic payment methods to reduce the inefficiencies of manual and paper-based processes effectively. So that's the key goal of automation. And automation is a crucial foundation to lowering the costs and streamlining each and every process in these AP subcategories that we just discussed. Because every single subcategory, either our visibility and control and collaboration, they all will be managed by the automation tools that bring that next level of control, visibility, and collaboration, because automation will give you the tools to do that more efficiently. Now, so how does DocLink work in a nutshell from a perspective of the system that would be able to deliver these goals to you? Again, just want to reiterate, we are touching bases specifically on accounts payable process. Nevertheless, DocLink is an enterprise solution that is built to accommodate document management and automation needs throughout the company. Not necessarily only AP, for HR, contract management, other company requisitions, employee evaluations, performance reviews, expense reports, purchase requisitions, donation management, and many other life cycles where connecting people, processing, and data is required. So, what can DocLink do? Very first is, of course, connecting data to people that need it. And DocLink has the ability to connect the right people at the right time with the right document to effectively do their critical work. And it gives you all the tools required for that. It streamlines operations and gives back control over the documents and data, and then, of course, the transactions. So you have control over all of the information that you can access and other people can access as well, limiting them to only their department and making sure that people who don't supposed to see the confidentiality documents, for example, don't see them. And of course, it is important to deliver documents outside for business to your partners and customers, or allow those same people to have access to a self-service portal which can be used through a web client, for instance. And lastly, DocLink fulfills your complete document management lifecycle and paperless initiatives, paving the way to enable your achievement of strategic initiatives. And the biggest strategic initiatives might be the growth of the company, better serving your customers, better serving the people that you work with on a daily basis. For example, if you're a non-profit organization, that you need to deliver the services to the communities and people who needs it the most. Now, how DocLink operates as a system itself from a perspective of components. So everything will start when we need to silence and capture the data. So one of the big but inefficiencies in workflows, and that's again related to the fact how we receive information, is silencing the data to the same depository. So when you receive the information from the outside source, DocLink can capture it from all variety of outside sources, including application of optical character recognition technology with smart capture, because we definitely need to intelligently interpret just recognize characters, and then capture data is passed to DocLink Central Storage Depository. This is where the data resides. Now, of course, we need to work with the data that we extracted, and this is where the process workflow steps into play, where we can apply life cycles of documents through workflows, automatic routing, and smart forms to the documents that we received. For example, you would like to file an expense report. Therefore, through the capture, you will create the expense report, attach your receipts to that expense report, store it in document depository, and it will pass it to the workflow where the management is going to review it and approve it. Then, if necessary, a copy of the report can be delivered to the person who filed it, and of course, by the end of the cycle, when invoices or when the expense report is reviewed and approved, it's going to be exported to an ERP system as an accounts payable invoice, of course, because again, that's a payable transaction, right? And later on, when the transaction is completed, for external and internal use, people can utilize search and retrieve capabilities. So this is kind of in a nutshell use of DocLink depository and a workflow in an example of expense reports. But the use goes beyond that, of course, because you can use a smartphone to create your purchase requisition and deliver that purchase requisition to your supplier, right? Then you're going to again capture the data from the packing slip and invoice you received, push it through a workflow that is going to apply matching to that invoice, to the packing slip, to the PO that you created. When it's approved, it's going to create a PO, an accounts payable invoice again in the ERP system, and for example, send a confirmation to the supplier that that invoice has been processed, right? And again, this is with the framework of accounts payable invoice process. But the use case is endless, as you can, again, apply this in your HR, in your contract management process, in your donation management, client management, etc. Connect people, processes, and data. Automation of life cycles of documents that potentially today you have on paper or, let's say, an Excel sheet. Now, the DocLink often begins in AP because of the reason that I mentioned, and this is why we started at AP, because of the most of the obvious ROI lays there. The efficiency of AP process relies on the time to process an invoice, of course, the cost to process is the second component. This is why we generally find the AP department a logical place to start. For instance, your labor to process a document, as I mentioned, could be $20 to file a document, and for example, $120 to find misfiled documents if it was misplaced, or even $220 to reproduce the document if it is lost. Therefore, the process of AP very labor and document intense. Therefore, we definitely would like to start there, as this is where you can reach the ROI the fastest. Automation of accounts payable goes a number of levels. So, of course, we provide the self-service document access, and there are a number of main key benefits. This is the ones that I would like to point to you at this point of the discussion. So, of course, again, ability to provide self-service document access to team members and inside and outside sources, facilitate timely approvals from anywhere, utilizing things like a mobile client and web client, and timely approvals mean early payment discounts, for example, that can add up by the end of the year quite substantially, and of course eliminating of filing the paper, going away from hard copies to soft copies, and minimizing the data entry, potentially reducing your the time that you spend entering the data into the ERP system, 50 to 70%, or even more, depends on the level of automation that you would have. And lastly, ultimately, this contributes to a huge win with a seamless integration to the ERP system. And this is very important. DocLink is the Sage-endorsed document management solution where all the data you file in DocLink flows seamlessly without double entry to the ERP system. As I mentioned, a lot of companies find out that they can reduce their cost in AP automation, in AP process with automation substantially. But there are other components related to that. It's not only the cost of entering of the data, but there are costs related to human error, and there are costs related to audits. Therefore, as a complex ROI, DocLink gives you all these benefits under one shell. And if you look at the typical processes, you can see there are a lot of steps in the accounts payable process that we do today without automation, right? There are a lot of them. With automation of document management, you can eliminate some of those steps because they would become redundant. And you'll be doing only important steps in this process. Especially with eliminating the paper-based invoices and reduced approval times from weeks to days, hours, or maybe minutes, because it is going to be accessible via a mobile and web platform if this is the way you'd like to go. Vendors can submit their invoices in a variety of different ways. And with AP automation, DocLink can automatically extract the relevant data into the system. Then it is designed for administrators to receive notification that the invoice has been received, and it follows through the usual life cycle that you have, right? And DocLink essentially mimics your current workflow and improves it, which is established in the predetermined electronic approval process. And you can have as many approvers as you want based on your business needs. Approval times are significantly decreased in this schema, of course. Now, let's look at some examples of how the DocLink process works within the DocLink. And we'll be looking at this from a kind of 10,000 feet perspective. I definitely would like to dive deeper into this topic with each and every one of you present on the discussion today. Therefore, please type your questions, and perhaps we'll schedule additional sessions dedicated to your use cases specifically. So everything would start with reception of an invoice, again, just some examples that we have, and the data would flow into the DocLink for the routing and approval and review. And when the data is scraped of the image, and we assign the vendor, we identify the GL account allocation, it is required for a team member who facilitates the approval to look at the document and do the approval cycle, right? And then invoice is imported into the ERP system. Then the payment is issued through the ERP, right? And invoice payment and the check arrives in DocLink. So you have kind of completed cycle. So by the end of this cycle in DocLink, everything related to that invoice payment would be available for you. So if you find an invoice number, you can immediately see who filed the requisition, who approved the requisition, who processed the packing slip, who processed the invoice, who approved the payment. You can see the check copy, etc. So you have the full trail of that life cycle. Again, automation of full life cycles of documents that you process. Email notifications, very important part. So people who are supposed to take some form of an action will receive an email notification saying, hey, you have an invoice pending approval, and you have a copy of an invoice attached to the document. You have approve and deny button, so you can click approve and deny, give your comments. And of course, the layout and the body of an email is customizable. You can have more attachments attached. Perhaps there will be multiple documents, not only the invoice related to that, and you would like more information before you take the executive action and approve or deny. And of course, we're in 2019, everyone would like to do that on their mobile devices. Therefore, DocLink provides you this opportunity and capability to be able to approve, review, deny, and also utilize the storage depository tools on your mobile device. Now, web client is also a very important part of this component, where you can utilize the web-based system when you would like to zero footprint. You have multiple offices, you don't want to install anything on your on your computer. Therefore, very simple. You can deploy a thin client, give the web-based access to team members who require it, and make it easier for them to, again, process, review, index the data, approve, deny, and take other actions to the document lifecycle. And all that is done also in the framework of a web client. Somebody uses Mac, no problem. You can use DocLink in the web client with no issues. Now, so let's start we're heading towards the end of our discussion very rapidly, so let's start gaining the pace. So minimizing the data entry is a very important part of the process, and regardless of how documents come into your customer's business, they can safely capture and index the data automatically. DocLink gets that information through email, fax, scanning, barcode, and OCR can automatically index as much data as possible and only send exception cases for user's review. This saves time on reconciliation and matching because machine will be applying the rules for you. And of course, this minimizes the data entry during the process by leveraging existing ERP data. Seamless integration with the ERP gives us ability to conduct the matching, conduct the vendor identification, and apply GL accounts allocation. Now, delegation of authority is very, very important in this process. And looking at this stage, you don't need to worry about a person leaving on vacation. If, let's say, somebody, the approved manager, is going away or unable to respond to their request, DocLink can delegate the authority to the next approving person in the line automatically, or you can designate specific time spans when that's supposed to occur. So you have full control over that within your IP process. Now, AP automation success, and I would like to bring some case studies, some examples. We're getting to the almost to the end of the presentation right now, so I'll give one case study and we'll go to the question and answer section. So one of the case studies I wanted to bring to your attention is Tallsprings Tramway. So there, one of the biggest problems was, again, they were growing substantially, and the business impact for the company was significant, requiring new processes to ensure that the office continues to run properly. And the main issue was that they had just too much paper. Making, storing, and finding documents was extremely difficult. In addition, approval cycles were often slow and tedious, requiring staff to physically be in the office to move paper through. And the auditing process was grueling, and finding everything required documents was so much time consuming, it was not fun. All the POs and invoices are digital now, and there is no paper to manage. AP aside, to scan invoices and match them with POs being sent for approval, it's easy to track and track the status of documents electronically. AP no longer spends hours searching for documents, nor they are waiting for approvers to return to the office to obtain that invoice for approval. And their success is huge with utilization of document management solution. With that said, I very much appreciate you being in our discussion today. So let's look at how DocLink can impact all of your organization and move over to the question section. So from a perspective of document management, as I mentioned, DocLink can be utilized through your entire organization completely. It can be applied for every single department to automate and connect people, processes, and data for every single one of them. We deliver our implementations fast. We deliver them on target and on budget. We provide 365, 24/7 support to make sure that after the implementation is delivered, we are keeping you running and we keep you happy, and we make sure that nothing goes wrong and you're always supported beyond the implementation. And we provide you a world-class product with a seamless and deep integration to your ERP system for your strategic advantage, and of course elimination of any double entry of data. With that said, I hope and I'm sure that you're ready to go digital and you're ready to gain control over your data and over your processes. I very much appreciate you being on the call with us today, so let's go to the question and answer section.
Okay, Igor, so I do have a couple questions that came through. First one was, can you tell us again about document properties. Can I put any document into the DocLink repository?
Yes, that is correct. So by the end of the day, DocLink is a storage for any document types. Out of the box, DocLink comes with X number of pre-programmed document types and properties. Nevertheless, you can add, in addition to those out-of-the-box properties, as many of additional ones as you would like to tailor the solution to your specific needs. It could be as complex as, what is the color of an eye of my employee? It doesn't matter. You just need to create a property and start tracking that. As well as document types.
Thank you. Other question I see is, if I understand correctly, I can send my AR invoice statements to my customers automatically. Can I also send invoice backup? Can your product link or attach backup documents?
Yes, it can. So this is done through our distribution manager. It's a fairly simple process. So when you have your AR invoices, we can generate statements and invoices, capture them from Sage, and deliver them to the customers of your choice on schedule or on demand. And in addition to that, we can scrape additional documents from DocLink depository and send not only the AR invoice, but supporting documents you designated to be sent in addition to that.
Okay. Oh, one more. Another question just popped up real quick. Can files from outside departments be imported into DocLink or the ERP in order for AP to see those documents as part of the streamlined workflow?
Yep, they can. Not only like image files can be included. You can include doc documents, PDF files, CAD drawings, everything you would like.
Okay. I don't see any more questions, but if you should have any questions afterwards, do feel free to reach out to Sean Fraser from IWI, and he can get those answered for you, or just any next steps. If you want to see further demo or more details on the DocLink solution, reach out to Sean, and he will get the appropriate resources and show you what DocLink can do for you.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely are very happy for you to find in time in your busy schedule. I'm confident that we generated some light bulb moments today. I would like you to think about your current existing processes that, from your perspective, are not operationally efficient enough, or maybe to go even further, they drive you nuts, and challenge myself and Sean with this process, and I can assure you that we can solve that operational challenge for you with ease and confidence. Thank you very much for participating in our today's webinar. I wish you a happy Wednesday.